Hello, welcome to week 4 of the fall 2019 semester. So I apologize for being a little late getting this video. I will strive to do a better job of getting these videos posted on time in the future. But here we are, so let's go ahead and talk about this week. But before we do that, let me mention last week. I hope that you actually took time to read my comments on your week 2 essays before writing your week 3 essays. And I'll know who did and who didn't based upon what I see on when I grade it. But remember what I said in the email. Any comments I've given you are designed to help you write better essays and get higher grades. They're not designed to criticize. They're not designed to be negative in any way. They are what I like to call constructive criticism that are designed to help you learn what it is you need to do better and then to work on that. All right, so let's talk about this week's readings. There are 3 authors we're going to go over, and Mary Wollstonecraft is probably the most important of the 3. Mary Wollstonecraft is one of the earliest feminist writers in literary history. She really was writing for women's rights, and you will see that in this particular video when you see that she's actually making the argument that in order for women to make good wives to their husbands, they must receive the same education that their husbands are getting. And so it actually takes a little bit of explaining to understand that during the time Mary Wollstonecraft wrote this, which was the late 1700s, women were not being educated for jobs and careers and anything like that. Any education that a woman got, which usually wasn't much, was designed to attract a husband. Now, it wasn't designed to keep that husband once she married him. In fact, it was understood that a lot of times husbands would marry and then they, have a little mistress on the side. And that's, of course, not right. You don't want that kind of relationship in any marriage. So what Wollstonecraft is arguing here is if a man is to be faithful to his wife and if a man is to stay in love with his wife after that initial, flirtatious courting period is over with, that wife must have the same education he does to stimulate him intellectually as well as physically. So make sure that you understand that she is arguing very early on for women's rights in the field of education. She's not saying that women should vote. She's not saying that women should do many of the other things that men do. But she is saying that women have to be educated in order to make good wives. All right, so we got 2 poets after that. One of them was William Blake. William Blake wrote Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. And so these 2 poems that you're reading by him this week, The Lamb and the Tiger, the Lamb comes from Songs of Innocence and the Tiger comes from Songs of Experience. And experience in this case is not all bad. It just means that you're older and more mature. So what the Lamb and the Tiger are doing is showing opposite sides of the same coin. On the one side, Blake, who was extremely religious, by the way, said, God created the lamb, which is this gentle creature. Isn't that great? But on the other side of that coin, from Songs from Experience, he's saying, well, God also created the tiger, which is a ferocious killing machine. So why does the same guy create a lamb, which is gentle, and a tiger, which is ferocious? Now, one thing I want you to do as you answer the questions on the quiz and as you grade your papers, if you should choose to write about Blake, do not call the tiger evil. Tigers are not evil. It is their nature to kill. It is their nature to survive by killing other life forms and eating them. That does not make them evil. So I will count incorrect any quiz answer that says that tigers are evil, and I will be pretty harsh on any papers, should you choose to write about William Blake, that say that tigers are evil. Because tigers not evil, tigers are tigers. And they are the way, William Blake would argue, that God created them. So, but notice, one God, but 2 different creations that could not possibly be more different. So that's the William Blake readings. And then John Keats. John Keats is interesting because he was obsessed with immortality. And he died at a very young age. He was about 25 or 26 when he died of tuberculosis. And he caught it because his brother had tuberculosis, and apparently is a contagious disease. With his obsession with immortality, he still lived a very short life. But his poems, immortality is a major theme in these poems. So, in the poem about the Grecian urn, he is talking about how immortality is frozen in time. So here's a moment in time frozen in the paintings on a Grecian urn at the British Museum of Art. And those images will last forever, but is that a good thing? Because they're frozen in time. They can't ever really experience life, even though they live eternally. And then the Elgin Marbles talks about, well, you know, these marbles have been around forever and ever and will continue to be on forever and ever, but they're showing signs of age and they're showing signs of wasting away. And it kind of reminds one of the tragic Greek hero Sybil, who wished for eternal life, but she did not wish for eternal youth. And so she continued to age and continued to age and continued to age until finally she said, gosh, there's nothing more in the world I want to do than die. So here is Keats obsessed with immortality, but is immortality such a good thing? Those are the questions that can be raised in the Elgin Marbles and in the Grecian urn poems. So that's this week's readings. As always, feel free to email me any questions you have. Be specific in your questions. Don't say I don't understand, because I don't know what to do with that. But if you have a specific question, make sure you ask it, and I will help you out as much as I can. So I think you're going to enjoy this week's readings, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say about them.